Hey you guys, it is August 22nd and time for another garden update. I have been gone the last month and a half. So I was in Canada and escaping the heat, escaping the dry spell, but that also meant that I wasn't here to take care of the garden. And so there's kind of some really great feedback that comes from that. So I'm a big proponent of always having this opportunity to step away or detach a little bit. But I definitely suffered some losses. I was already suffering losses with the July update before I even left. So there's just a few more things that might have died. But there's also some really great things that are coming back. So essentially, right when I was getting back last Thursday, there was a good rain. And then a week before that, there was one like 2-inch quick dump that kind of broke the spell. So a lot of things we'll see that went dormant are now coming out of dormancy and springing back into life. So when I first got here and it hadn't rained, it felt like death, and then just instantly it's been shifting a little bit. So yeah, there's plenty to see, but already we have blossoms coming out for the bees on the aloysia, the sweet almond verbena. There's going to be a lot of busy bees now that there will be flowers again. And there was a lot of death. Let's see, on the back side of this plum tree, let me walk around this way. Right before I left, I cut a big branch off of the mulberry because I didn't want to lose those grafts. They cooked and died with that sudden change, and I lost all the grafts in there. So there's only 4 different plums that are still going. And just that big section got sunburned. So that's good feedback for basically like sudden changes in how brittle things are when it goes dry. So it's a brittleness that comes in. There's death right here. That's that Japanese blueberry that was frozen really hard. Probably won't even come back. But potted plants didn't skip a beat. They weren't getting watered, and cactuses are designed for this. Most of my blueberries are gone or mostly gone, so that's probably the bigger sad one. And then the persimmons here are really starting to swell. There's just only a handful, but that's starting to color up. So we're really close on persimmons, and all of the citrus is flushing new growth all over the garden. So that's really exciting. I don't know if you can see the sprouts right there on that N33 navel. Same with over here, the citrus is in full bloom. That's kumquat. Lots of blossoms. That's going to mean lots more changshu, and also lots of happy bees. I can see a few working hard back in there. So it's time for me to create space in those colonies for all this nectar that's going to be flowing for a little bit. But just this is so exciting for me, that the citrus made it through the drought, and they really made it through the greening scare the last couple of years. There was definitely some disease starting to move in, so all of the citrus looks really healthy now. Here's some more example, just lots of new flush. This is that Dabashi Beni, so I'm kind of giving it priority. Did a little trim, and same flush on the Shiranui. What else? Look at the mulberry trunk. I guess it was pretty similar, but the mulberry also didn't bulk the dryness. They're very good at dry. I completely cut down that blueberry to see if it might come back. It doesn't look likely. What else did I lose? Well, I did lose a little tea camellia, but look at all this fruit. This is the plant that loves dryness. This is a desert plant. So of course this will be a great year for pomegranates. Look at them all back there. So the bugs are opening them up, and the rain made a few split open, but there's definitely, this is kind of glary, a lot of pomegranates still on the tree, and this one is wonderful. It is actually the best in my garden in terms of performance. So there will be wonderful pomegranates, and I already tasted one that split. It was getting close. So here's Kishu seedless, and it's blooming again. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if any of that fruit will actually set. But you know, that's where the dryness, right, triggered this, in essence, winter dormancy, just slow down. And so now this moisture again is triggering expansion. This one, this big premier blueberry, is still alive, but I'm actually going to cut it down to the ground to get some good new growth. I was kind of wanting to make this video right away because I'm about to cut a ton on everything. It's things that have mostly died need to be cut back to help trigger like that reset expansion. So figs, sorry for that. Look here, we got some elderberry. They're going to be real small and sparse this year, but so this fig tree right here, it just defoliated. It's like no big deal. I'll just drop all my leaves, and now it's going to flush back out. But that's that kind of Mediterranean plants can handle the dryness. Here's the other fig that you can't really see, but here it is. You know, they dropped most of their leaves, but they're not really damaged by drought. So if your fig tree looked like death or still looks like death, don't worry, that's not a big deal. And then the bananas, I don't know what happened there. Maybe a windstorm and a little bit of lost turgor pressure, water pressure. Here's a loss right there. Pineapple guava, I know from experience, is not drought tolerant at all. This is a cloud forest plant, and so yeah, expect to lose unirrigated pineapple guava for sure. I have others that are fine, but this one just is shocked probably to full death, but we'll see. I'm going to cut it down to the ground, but there's good growth on the sweet orange and lots more blossoms on kumquat. So this is, you know, good smell, good for the bees. We have survival right here in the middle back there. Do you see that tall guy? That's pawpaw. And so pawpaw went through our drought, unirrigated. It does have the advantage of having, you know, just a pocket of sunlight, mostly canopy. But yeah, the pawpaw made it. But this guy did not. So this avocado that I had been working hard, babying, doing all the things, it kicked it. I'm gonna cut it down. There are pockets of green. So we'll see what comes back from the base, because this was an ungrafted tree, so whatever comes back is good. And then houseplants, no big deal. This never got watered the entire time. Philodendrons are just so tough. That's just crazy to me. I mean, they were definitely probably stressed before the last rains, but you know, stuff like mother-in-law's tongue, Sansevieria, that ZZ, Zamioculcas. Okay, so another death here. The beautyberry, the longissimo beautyberry, is looks to be fully dead, and these are from the big freeze. This was the branches of it. There's a dead azalea right there, and I knew that one was probably not going to make it because it had struggled in other dry spells. It was very just not strong. There's a cardinal straight in front of us. This boy's making some noise. The cherry of the Rio Grande, it looks like it thinned out, dropped some leaves, has some dieback, but it's still alive. So I'm going to get in there and clear that out as well, that sort of thicket of giant ragweed. And then opal here, I'm actually going to celebrate this, even though this is a lot worse than when I left. It still has green leaves and it has new growth. So, you know, if you look here, those are buds actively expanding, and it did get this some sunburn damage, a lot actually, farther up in some of these green branch sections, but it should have a lot of energy to push through and refoliate itself. So yeah, it probably, it's close to 80% defoliated, maybe a little more, but it's flushing out now. So this avocado tree I don't expect to lose, which is really awesome because there's so many other things that are dead and dying. So the blood orange actually looks great. There's still oranges on here, and it might have looked sad. I don't know, you know, the high points of the drought, it probably was wilting and everything. But I made a video about cutting back on that beautyberry right there. You can see it's looking good and just starting to flush out. And the same, I cut back on this blueberry right before the July video, and you can see, so blueberry is one that can be cut back hard to be reinvigorated, and I was just really trying to tell it to like, drop the leaves on top, you're gonna die, you know, like that kind of energy. But you can see there's a lot of good little flush down there, so it's still a big loss to lose, you know, all that potential energy and just expansion, but it's not a full loss of the blueberry plant. The grafted pear is fine, but right here we had a grafted apple tree that kicked it. So looks to be dead to the graft. So there's a little sucker growth that has a little green, but for the most part, this apple tree never fruited. It was, you know, kind of shaded and yeah, just never really performed that well. So that's not a big deal to lose the apple tree. The bees are doing fine. It looks like I'm gonna even just start pulling honey since there's so much nectar coming in. Here, elderberry, totally defoliated. And elderberry is another one where losing this trunk, not a big deal. Yeah, I can feel it. It's totally lifeless, but it's just gonna shoot up more at the base. The same, that elderberry looks pretty sparse. Tomatoes still going. We got navel oranges on the tree here. They're a little bit small, but doing well. And then right here, the big fig tree, it actually, when I first got back last Thursday, it had none of those leaves. It looked like a skeleton. So it is coming out fast with the new rains, but it did defoliate. Then the persimmon also defoliated quite a bit. Like this, where are the leaves? They're gone. And so that means that the fruit, which is just about ready to drop, this is the wild native persimmon, is going to be really small fruit this year and not many, but it's coming back out. So I think the rains, they followed me, you know. It was like I came back, I brought some Canadian rainforest rains to heal the garden. Just, it's nice having moisture in the ground. So much to celebrate. Just look, the citrus is still alive. It's a good thing. More citrus still alive. This is the one that is, I feel like it is fully gone, because it was already gone before I even left in July. It really looked like a blight. So this is another one where, you know, drought stress is just a stressor. It's not necessarily the killing factor. It'd be really hard to kill something with just that, because there's always a little moisture way down deep. But it stressed the tree so much, and it looked like something like fire blight just came in real hard. And yeah, I mean, this one just really sucks. It was loaded with fruit, and you know, that won't be quick to replace. So that one's a bummer. But now, you know, the citrus, look at that, a nice bloom on the kumquat here. So there'll be lots of little kumquats. Even some of the pepper plants survived, so that's pretty crazy. You know, these are all shaded, so they had a lot of this big tropical papaya, moringa, all that to shade them. A couple, what is that, gold nugget? But mainly just look at the flush, like, of expansion. So many new leaves. The muscadines should be ripening soon, but they're really small, and a lot of them dropped and shriveled. So there are some grapes, but nothing, no big deal. That guy needs to grow. He needs some help. And then here, this blueberry, you can see I cut it back, but that's blueberry right there. So emerald here died on top, but had just enough to restart from down low, and that means there's the potential to come back quickly. We'll see. I'll probably hit them with a little fertilizer and keep track of moisture. And then one more death. Well, this big blueberry has no No growth on it right now of new young stuff, but I know it'll be back. That's the oldest blueberry. But we had another big dieback on this avocado. So, you know, this guy is seedling, so we're not losing a graft or anything, but if you look, that trunk was the new one, and you can see the death line comes to about right there, and then there's some new buds already starting. There's, you know, new growth here, and so it'll be back quickly. It wants to come back, but drought and disease did a number on it. There were not many fruit. Let's see. Oh, here's one. So there's still persimmons over here, but not many. Just a lot of persimmon dropped. Even death on random stuff. This was a camphor tree. Didn't expect it to just croak. And there's some other random stuff. All right. So over here with the chickens, we've got babies. If y'all remember, there was some broody mamas, and we had some hatching eggs, and so now there's babies. And where are they? I think there's some right behind me. So I think that looks like, maybe that's Naomi. Oh, here's one. There they go. So they're low on the pecking order, but it has just been so amazing to watch the mamas be mamas, and you know, getting to have the babies growing up and sturdy and secure. They're more snake proof now. So everybody's just hanging out trying to stay cool right now. I bring them the grass clippings from the neighbors, and they like that. There's one baby with some cool black spots named Ruth. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't bring any treats, so you don't get excited chickens. You get like, hey, we're just bored hanging out chickens. So Fern here was one of the mamas. Fern here got to raise some babies, and now she's done being a mama. And hey Millie, I don't got any treats. It's hot. Yes, it is. All right. Onward to the rest of the garden. So I just added a box to one of these colonies. So the bees really did well through the dry spell. They were just packed with honey, and I don't know where they're getting it, but they're getting it. And so I haven't opened up many colonies, but they do look all right. This one looks a little thin at the entrance. So yeah, they might need to have a box or two removed. Houseplants did all right, like right here, this monstera. It's looking good now with the rain. Probably was wilting. Same, look at that guy. This really special plant got a little bit sunburned, and that's a pretty big bummer. These two biggest leaves didn't, but these oldest leaves have a little yellow spot in the center, because that's my expensive plant. And then, I mean, just surviving is pretty good. Right here, this avocado still has leaves on it. That says a lot. There's something. And there's some really good looking houseplants down there underneath. The fig is putting leaves back on. There's a really cool mushroom bloom. Check this out. That's growing in a palm trunk. So maybe it's a unique one for palm trees, palm trunk, palm wood. Oh, you know, one really sad one was my monkey potato. A couple of the yams didn't make it. That was really surprising. So yeah, lesson learned there. But starfruit's good. Coming over here, I just cleared out around that satsuma right there. But basically everything except for this star fruit, which I moved. It was where the shed was, so I moved this. So it really didn't have a chance. It was a recent transplant. But all the other tropicals have survived. I was especially worried about that cherry, the Rio Grande, and this Suriname cherry, but they made it. So that's pretty darn cool. And then back here, we have survival, not thrival on this avocado. So the big difference on this one that kind of scares me is that it doesn't have the flush of new growth. So like opal back there, you know, buds were breaking, it was actively healing, expanding. This one has some green leaves on the terminal still, but for the most part, it seems to be dying back. So it's still in a contraction phase. So that's not good, but it is what it is. So we shall see. And then Kishu over here is definitely expanding fast. All right, you guys, that's my update. Hopefully that helps give you some insight into what, you know, nature's doing and how resilient it is to be able to just do it on its own. It doesn't need that constant irrigation. It's just adaptive and resilient, and there are losses either way. I have a friend who, you know, watered all the time through this. It really stresses her, and she had probably the similar, other than the avocados, similar amount of losses of just some things don't make it when it's really hot and dry, and we can't change that. We just have to detach and move forward and move on. And so that's what I'm doing here. I am cleansing, clearing, and trying to start anew with the new structure with some of the things that are missing. So hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.